Hey everyone, Mark Haw here from Knockbreda Parish Church. These are unusual days. That's a phrase we hear over and over again, and we have done for the last few months, that these are unusual days. In many ways it's true. None of us has lived through a pandemic like this before. None of us has been stuck at home in a lockdown before, and in that sense, these are unusual days. But that wee phrase can also suggest something else. It can also suggest that disease and hardship and difficulty really aren't the norm. That we can and should expect something different. That we can and should expect wellness and ease and peace. But is that true? Can and should we expect wellness and ease and peace in our lives? How you answer that will shape so much of your life. It'll shape your expectations and therefore affect your mood. It'll shape your focus and therefore affect your mind. It'll shape how you view the world and therefore affect everything that you do. So is it true? Is it true that these are unusual days and that we can and should expect something else? The Bible tells us in Romans chapter 8 that this world is in bondage to corruption. And what it means is that right back at the very beginning of the world, after God made the heavens and the earth and said it was very good, man sinned against him. He opposed God. He turned his back on God. And when he did, he and everything around him was ruined. The world was taken captive to sin. It's what it means when he says this world is in bondage to corruption. And when you read throughout the Bible, you read of what a world that's in bondage to corruption is really like. It's full of pain and hurt. It's full of sickness and disease. It's full of death and it's full of decay. It is not a world of wellness, ease and peace. And so, life in a pandemic, living in lockdown, those aren't unusual days. They're really quite typical of life in a world that's in bondage to corruption. Romans 8 also tells us how to navigate our way through a world that's in bondage to corruption. It tells us that this world is marked by suffering, that we shouldn't expect wellness, ease and peace, but we should expect a difficult world, a world marked by disease, hardship and difficulty. It's a world that's full of suffering. And yet it also tells us that if you're a Christian, this is the worst there is. Because while this world is marked by suffering, there's another world to come. And in that life, it's a life that's marked by glory, eternal glory, with wellness, ease, and peace forever and ever. The reason Paul can say that the world that's to come is a world marked by glory is because he has just told us in the previous 7 chapters that Jesus Christ, the maker of heaven and earth, entered into this corrupted world. And when he did, he experienced corruption, the ultimate form of corruption, as he was nailed to a cross. And yet as Jesus Christ died and rose again, as he rose again, not only did he make it possible to free his people from the bondage and the corruption of this world to an everlasting kingdom, a kingdom that is marked by wellness, ease and peace in his kingdom with his people in his presence, for a life of glory that will never end. But even he made it possible that by his Spirit he would come upon his people today in the midst of this suffering world, and through his word he would comfort, encourage and strengthen his people as they live in the midst of a suffering world. These really aren't unusual days. These are very usual days in the midst of a world that's in bondage to corruption. But if you're a Christian today, may you know this is the worst there is, because glory is coming. And in that glorious life, there will be wellness, ease, and peace when you're in the presence, the eternal presence of your Saviour. And until you get there, even in the midst of this difficult world, even in the midst of this disease, hardship, and difficulty, your Saviour is with you by His Spirit, that as you trust in Him and put your faith in Him, through His Word, He will lead you, comfort you, and guide you until He takes you to Himself in a world filled with glory, of wellness, ease, and peace.